What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Fall Obsession podcast episode. My name is Sam Thrash. I'm your show host over here. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. This week we are on here to talk about dark energy. And if you don't know what dark energy is, me saying that might scare you a little bit. You might not know what I'm talking about here, but we are partnered here at Fall Obsession with a company called Dark Energy, and they produce mobile power products. So cellular device chargers, solar panels that you can use in the backcountry, and I'm not even doing it justice talking about just those couple of things, but awesome gear and products that we use religiously over here at Fall Obsession. So this podcast, we're sitting down with Brayden from Dark Energy. He's in charge of marketing over there, as well as Todd and Heather Sellon, two of our own team members here at Fall Obsession who are very heavily involved in the dark energy products and the daily use of such. So it's a great conversation, pretty laid back and informal, but we go through and talk about where we find value in these products. I'm not trying to make this entire podcast a commercial or an ad, and I hope it doesn't feel like that for you guys, but we at Fall Obsession only use gear and products that we truly believe in and find value in. We don't just chase sponsorships just for the sake of getting free gear or chasing sponsorships and saying that we're affiliated with companies, right? We only partner with companies that we believe in. We have field tested their products. They have proven their worth to us. We find value in them and want to share that value with you all. That's part of the Fall Obsession brand and our mission here, and just being authentic and wanting to only recommend stuff that we believe you guys are going to enjoy and find value in as well. So dark energy falls under that umbrella, and this conversation with Brayden and the Sellons definitely hits all the high points with their gear, their product line, and what it can do in all sorts of different situations, everyday life, anywhere from just your normal day-to-day activities all the way to elite backcountry experiences where you're off the grid and you're having to rely on their full product line. So we get into all that. Hope you enjoy the conversation. Before I turn it over to my time with Brayden and the Sellons, though, I am going to talk about some other partners here at Fall Obsession that, again, we are affiliated with because we believe in their products, their gear, and what they're doing over there. We find value in them, and we hope you do as well. The first one is Hoot Camo. Started using Hoot Camo last year. My first hunt with Hoot was a mule deer hunt. You can see that film titled Flatland Deer Country on YouTube if you're interested in seeing the Hoot Camo in action. But the quality of the gear is there, the versatility of the patterns, the warmth, the comfort, it's all there. And it's at a price point that's affordable for the everyday blue-collar outdoorsman if you are looking to get into a good quality set of camouflage. I know we can all go down to our local grocery store or Walmart or whatever it might be and buy some cheap stuff, but if you want good quality gear that's going to last for seasons to come and you want to make that investment, then Hoot Camo has that going for them and has it at a price point that is a lot more reasonable than the competitors, in my opinion. So go place an order, no matter how big or small. If you use the code FALLOBSESSION15 at checkout, that will save you some money. And again, that's Hoot Camo and hootcamo.com. News on Safaris is a Fall Obsession partner. We have members of our team as well as folks that we know outside of Fall Obsession that have hunted with News On and have had a great experience. So if you guys are looking to book that African safari, you've been saving up for that big adventure, and you just see all these different outfitters that are all offering different opportunities at different prices, and you don't really know where to start with News On. They are offering Fall Obsession podcast listeners a discount and some savings. If you book with them, specifically a $500 trophy credit, you get free lodging, food, and drinks. Your professional hunters, trackers, and skinners fees are all covered. Your basic trophy prep is going to be taken care of. That totals out to a $2,250 value per hunter, and you can get those savings for up to 4 people in your hunting party. Do the quick math. That could be $9,000 in savings on an already expensive trip if you just tell News On that Fall Obsession sent you. So give Tim a call. He's the guy over there. His number is 303-946-9441. Again, that's Tim, and you get that deal. if you tell them that Fall Obsession sent you. So give them a call and get your hunt set up with News on Safaris. Trophy Edits is a Fall Obsession podcast partner. I'm sure that we have all had those photos throughout the years where it's a big hunt, it's a big moment, a significant animal that you just put on the ground, a memory that you're going to cherish, and you're excited to see the photo, but once you do, you're a little underwhelmed. It just didn't come out the way that you had hoped. It doesn't do the experience justice. Maybe the lighting was wrong, photo was a little dark, perhaps there's a bunch of blood all over the place that you didn't really think about, and now you're a little hesitant to show that to your squeamish family members at Thanksgiving, whatever the case might be. Either way, give Trophy Edits a chance to make that photo the best that it can be. They clean it up, they work with the lighting, they do all of the hard work to make the most out of your photo and your experience, your memory. So if you click on the link in the podcast description, wherever you're listening to this episode, that will take you over to Trophy Edits platform. You can see what all they got going on. You can set up your service and your photo that you want fixed up with them through that link, and that link will let them know that Fall Obsession sent you. So go check out Trophy Edits. Elite Archery is a Fall Obsession partner. I've been shooting an Elite bow for several seasons now. I love it. It is smooth, it is comfortable, it is fast, it is reliable. Just can't say enough about my Elite bow, and I could sit up here and talk to you guys all day long about how much I love it, but the ultimate test for you is going to be going and actually shooting it yourself and taking the Elite Shootability Challenge at your local Elite dealer. Do just that. Go down there, tell them that you want to compare it to other brands, compare it to the bow that you're shooting right now, and see what you think. That's even what Elite Archery themselves recommends that you do, and I have to tell you, you're not going to be disappointed. Go take the Elite Shootability Challenge today. The Outdoor Call Radio app is a podcast partner. Outdoors Dan from Respect the Game TV, he created an app that you can download on any device where you can stream hunting shows and podcasts on a loop every single day. Our show streams on that loop on Mondays, the same day as our new publications, along with tons of other hunting shows and podcasts that we all know and love. So go download the Outdoor Call Radio app today for free, and be sure that you follow Outdoors Dan and the Outdoor Call Radio app on social media, because they share some live radio show broadcasts that they do a couple times a week on those social media platforms if you're not local to the stations. The Outdoor Call Radio app, go download it and start streaming today. Last but not least, Ridge Rock Hunt Company is a podcast partner. Derek Eves is the man over there in Mississippi, and he will set you up with a North American outfitter if you are looking to book with a vetted and trusted source. That's the only kind of people that Derek puts in his outfitter network, are folks that he himself has hunted with or somebody he knows and trusts has hunted with, and he can guarantee a good experience. So if you want to set up that next North American hunting adventure, you need to do it with Ridge Rock Hunt Company and Derek Eves. Go check them out on their website and social media. Thank you guys for listening to another Fall Obsession podcast. If you haven't already, be sure you hit that follow and subscribe button on whatever podcast platform you're streaming on. We post weekly new episodes on Mondays, so be sure you turn on that notification button if that's an option. That way you get notified every time we drop a new episode. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. The podcast videos can be found there as well if you prefer to watch those. We release the new podcast videos every week on Thursdays or Fridays, depending on the week. Be sure you follow us on all the major social media platforms. We post multiple times a day daily on those. fallobsession.com is the website. That's where you can go to find all of our content. That's the hub, if you will. You can also pick you up a hat or a shirt for a few bucks on there and support a small-time hunting brand. And be sure that you check out our shows streaming on Carbon TV. We produce a wide variety of content, including some various hunting shows and films. Specifically on Carbon is this podcast, our staff-inspired video podcast series Couch Chats streams on Carbon TV, as well as our two different hunting shows called Texas Dirt and Midwest Mindset. Again, you can find all those on the Carbon TV streaming network. All right, we're turning it over to our conversation with Brayden and the Sellons, talking about some Dark Energy. Be sure that you tune in all the way to the end, because Dark Energy does have a discount code that they are offering Fall Obsession followers and podcast listeners, and I share that with you guys at the end of this episode. If you want to place an order with Dark Energy and save some money, you got to listen to the end so you can find it there. But until then, stay tuned, because you're listening to another Fall Obsession podcast.
Oh, you got her, dude. She's down. Let's go. Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another Fall Obsession Podcast. I'm Sam, your host, and this week got a few folks online with me recording this episode. First and foremost, we got Brayden with us from Dark Energy. Welcome to Fall Obsession Podcast, man.
So glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. We also got a couple of our own staff members returning to the show with us, Todd and Heather Sellon from Michigan. Welcome back, guys.
Hey, Sam.
Thank you.
So, Brayden, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself and just talk for a minute about kind of what Dark Energy is and what you do for Dark Energy. You guys are a partner of us over here at Fall Obsession. We've really enjoyed getting your products in our hands and out in the field, the practical use and stuff like that. And Todd and Heather are religious users of the Dark Energy product line, everything as well, which is one of the reasons I wanted them on here with us. But man, kick us off and just tell us who you are, where you're from, and what Dark Energy is.
Okay, yeah. I may be all over the place, so if you have any questions while I'm going through, just feel free to pause me. My name is Brayden. I am the marketing manager for Dark Energy. What that entails is pretty much all the marketing you see is something that me or somebody I communicate with on a regular basis is working and sending out. So all of our emails, all of our texts, our ads that go out on Facebook and Instagram, working with awesome partners like you guys, that is all run through essentially me and my team, which has been so fun. There's so many amazing people out there that I get to meet on a regular basis through my job, which is great. I currently live in a small town in Utah, just outside of Park City, and it's been a good change. My wife and I actually moved about a month and a half ago, and we went from city to small town. We got a dog. We get to see the wild turkeys running through our backyard almost every evening now. Our favorite hunting spots now only 30 minutes away instead of about 2 hours. So like overall, the best change ever happened to us in the last month and a half. As for Dark Energy summarized in one sentence makes the toughest portable power on earth. And that's really what we specialize in. What we want to continue growing and doing is in that power space, providing for all of the things that people are using and want to use out in the wild. So phones for all your mapping devices, or a new one that keeps popping up is Starlink. People are wanting to be able to take the internet with them as they go out. And so we're working on power solutions that can fuel that.
That is awesome. We definitely have gotten our a good taste of what you guys have to offer and everything like that, from anywhere from off the grid backcountry experiences to, just everyday use. I remember I was out this past summer digging fence post holes, on my property and everything, and I had the Poseidon, the Nano, I guess, is it the small one out there with me and everything, powering my phone and keeping me charged out there, because I like to listen to music or podcast or something while I'm working and everything, and if you're doing that for a whole day, that drains your battery. So just everyday use like that, I'm finding it practical. And I also want to turn it over to Todd and Heather a little bit and let them talk about some of their experiences with the gear and the products, because you guys have been killing it out there, especially on this last trip you went on, really utilizing that gear.
Absolutely. So we're like busy bees, as you know, right? So we're out and about all the time. So like last night, for example, I didn't get home till like 11:30 at night at a football game further up north. And so to be able to have a resource or some technology like the Poseidon, for example, when we're out and about, to keep our phones charged, because I'm out fishing football, Heather's at the state park, so we have to make sure our phones are still charged so we can communicate on what's happening, where we're at, what's for dinner at 11:30 at night, what what the kids are doing, and that sort of thing. So it's just it, it's an awesome resource that's available to us that really really benefits us as busy bees, as people who are always out and about. And as you mentioned, in our last vacation, we had a houseboat, actually, Brayden. We rented a houseboat up in Minnesota, and we were up in the border.
Voyager National Park.
Voyager National Park, yeah.
Well, and when we went there, we didn't realize that we couldn't charge our phones on the houseboat. They pulled too much stuff, and I had brought all of our dark energy stuff with us, and it was our saving grace. It was powering navigation stuff. It was powering our, obviously our phones. I had my big camera with me. It was able to power the camera. We got a little nervous because we were on there for 4 days, and the first 2 were rain, so it didn't help as much then. But thankfully, they were already charged.
Yeah, the solar panel really didn't work that well in the rain. So.
Yeah.
It's really hard when it's cloudy.
Yeah. But we were able to move it around into the different places that the last couple days, and make sure everything was just completely charged up. I use it same as Sam when I'm out and about working on the farm. I'll bring it with me there. When I'm coaching, I had it out. I had a really long day for regionals, and I brought it with me, so I knew that I was going to be able to keep my phone charged. So, but the trip to, I will say the trip to Voyager National Park definitely was a really cool opportunity for us to try it out.
In the field.
Yeah, in the field. The Poseidon and the solar panel were, used all day for 2 days straight. So.
Yeah, so like when the Poseidon would get low, there were times that we couldn't even charge it in the boat itself. So we'd hook it up to the solar panel, and the solar panel was charging the Poseidon, and we take the Poseidon, you know what I mean? And so we were able to actually charge all of our phones, Heather, myself, our daughter's phone, with just the solar panel and the Poseidon. So.
And the Nano.
The Nano?
Yeah, we had that one too.
Yeah.
That's so
Very
great.
easy. What's that?
I always love hearing the stories of how people are using it. So that's awesome.
It's very easy to travel with. Obviously, the Poseidon's only about as big as your phone, but even the solar panel, we were able to put it right in our luggage without any issues going through the airport. We flew to Minneapolis, then we visited Andy and Drew up in Minneapolis, and then we rented a car, and then we went to northern Minnesota, went to Duluth, and then up into Boundary Waters and stuff. So, very easy to travel with, and yeah.
But with that being said, I want to hear about the new solar panel that you have out right now.
Yeah, I'd love to tell you more about them. So, to preface, for those that haven't heard of our solar panels, it was I think it was November, we launched essentially a version that rolls. And so this panel rolls up. It's extremely lightweight, 2 times lighter than other solar panels, just really unique to what the market is. And we got those out, and people absolutely loved them. The one thing they were like, I just wish it packed slightly better in my bag. And so we took that feedback, and that's actually what we took to build our new solar panels. So I actually have them sitting here next to me. We have 2 versions of it, which is great. The first one that I'll highlight real quick is an 8-watt panel. This one is designed to pair with a Poseidon Nano. We've actually been charging our Poseidon Nano with this panel here in Utah in about 3 hours. So fully charge, super quick. The awesome thing about this one is it's really light. I mean, they're both going to be lighter than other output solar panels, but this panel weighs less than half a pound by itself.
Wow.
So if you're going super backcountry, you don't have a ton of power needs, or you just want to have something that will essentially give you enough power to charge your phone, then this panel paired with the Poseidon Nano is perfect. If you really wanted to risk it, you can attempt to charge directly from the panel to a phone. We don't recommend that just because it's so much more valuable to have the power when you need it. But like lightweight, you can't beat this. I think it's like 3/4 of a pound if you carry a Poseidon Nano and the solar panel, which is like unreal in my mind for how light it would be. The second panel, and this one is more similar to the one that you guys have that rolls. It's a trifold 18 watt. I mean, this is what it folds down to instead of having that tube that you have with the rolling version. It's still flexible, so I can still bend it, and I'm not going to hurt it or break it. And then it just unfolds into this. There are a couple other changes we made that I think people would really like as well. One of them is the kickstands are now included in the box with this panel. They're still built to be really lightweight, really easy setup, but they come in the box. The other one is we upgraded the ports. So both of our panels now have 2 ports, a USB-C and a USB port. Just because people wanted to have more options, you can charge 2 devices from them. When you do that, you're going to cut the power in half, unfortunately, but like just having the option is
sure,
so awesome. And then this panel is still under a pound. So you're getting a maximum of 18 watt output for under a pound. And it pairs with our Poseidon Pro. It'll charge our Poseidon Pro in about 4 hours, and then you can get 3-ish phone charges from here, depending on how big your phone is or how much battery you're using.
Perfect. Yeah. So when I was in, I just thought of another. When I was down in Georgia last spring with Kendra, my phone was dying, and I didn't bring the dark energy with me at that time. And Kendra goes, "Hey, I got a Poseidon here. You want to plug it into your phone?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I want to." So I plugged it in my phone, and sure enough, it charged my phone. Geez, it seemed like less than an hour, maybe 40 minutes. It charged it right up, and so that was awesome. So
that's awesome. You guys have mentioned it multiple times, but I use my batteries more every day than I do like for these big hunting trips or events that people go on. I'm really grateful that they can go, and they've been tested in extremes. We actually just had, it was another company, I'm not going to name any names, they took some samples with them on a caribou hunt in Alaska, and they ended up getting stuck and rained on, and the plane couldn't come and pick them up for an extra 5 days. They said they were out of food, and the only reason they were able to contact the plane and essentially get back to home was because of our solar panels and batteries. Without it, they would have been stranded out there because they wouldn't have had enough battery, which absolutely blows my mind because I haven't ever been to that extreme where I'm solely relying on our product. But I use it every day, and it helps me accomplish my tasks in my everyday. And then I know if I ever did need it in a pinch, it would be there and perform reliably.
Funny you say that. Ours wasn't as extreme, but when we were out on the houseboat, we had been out fishing all day, and we had left the solar panel and the Poseidon back at the campsite to keep charging. And we came back, and we found out that the boat batteries had died. It has 3 batteries. We had charged them in the morning like we were supposed to, but there's an issue with the battery. So we were trying to get a hold of the company to come and help us, and we had no radio. So this radio that we're supposed to use in emergencies was not working. And so thankfully, because we had power, like I said, I didn't realize when we went there, the only way that we could have charged our phone was to have one that goes in like the cigarette port. And of course I didn't bring that with me. And but because we had phones that were charged, we actually climbed up onto the rocks and were able to get a little bit of a signal to call and have them come change the batteries out on the houseboat. But so it wasn't a 5-day, but we definitely were like, we're looking at each other going, our batteries are about to die. What are we going to do? We got to get these people. We've got 2 kids with us, and we were able to charge them up enough so that we could, like I said, call out and get help, and ended up being very smooth. But there was probably about a 15-minute window that we looked at each other and were like,
what do we do?
oh, I hope that charged while we were gone.
Yeah, you're not a kid. I'm glad you had them then. That makes
Yeah.
me so happy to hear. That actually, and you may want to hear this story as well. The reason Dark Energy started to build their products was a similar situation. My boss is a pretty outdoorsy guy. He's the founder of Dark Energy. His name's Garrett. He was out on, I can't remember if it was a hike or a hunt, one of the two, and he got caught in a rainstorm, and the little batteries he was carrying with him got shorted out because of the rain.
Oh.
And so he was essentially scraping by just using the bare minimum so he could have enough juice on his devices to get back to his civilization. And he got back and goes, there's got to be something out there that's built to essentially be able to go through whatever I'm going to go through as a person. And he was looking around the market and there wasn't anything. And so he's like, well, I'm an engineer. I'll just go build something. And that was actually what started the Poseidon Pro power bank.
Okay.
And why it's IP68 waterproof and why it's able to be dropped and crushed and ran over and left in the cold, and all of that is just so people that are in a similar situation aren't lost or aren't trying to conserve every last ounce of their battery. They know they have a backup that will be solid and reliable.
And so we through Fall Obsession, we go on various hunts, obviously. And what was it, 4 years ago, we went on our first snow goose hunt. And one of the things we realized right away is that we need some sort of battery, some sort of power out in the field, because we had all of our phones set up. We're trying to capture all kinds of footage, and we had our phones rolling all day. And geez, after a few hours, all of our phones started dying. So we realized right then that we need some sort of power out in the field. And so you guys came along. We're like, this is perfect. This is exactly what we need, so we can keep our phones going. We can capture more footage out in the field as the action is happening, as opposed to, oh, here they come, and video shuts off. And so yeah,
I'm excited to. The snow goose hunt got canceled last year due to the weather and stuff. The migration changes and weather and everything coming earlier. But yeah, I'm excited to have them out next year when we're filming and getting footage, because it will be every piece that we have will be out in the field with us.
Yeah. I think Tyler has Dark Energy equipment as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does, and that was one thing I was going to bring up too, is just how much we use our phones, not just backcountry, right? But we talked a little bit about the day-to-day function and use for something like this, that people don't always realize. They might see a brand, like Dark Energy, and they just automatically associate that with, backcountry and off the grid stuff, and they're like, man, I don't ever do that, or I don't do that yet. But there's so many more uses for it in the everyday life. And then even for us, just as content creators and producers, like, some people might look down on us for it, but man, this right here is now one of the highest quality cameras that you can have on you at all times. Just the way that they make iPhones or any of the Samsung phones and everything right now, and the cameras that are on them, it's absolutely insane. And down here in Texas, where I'm at, like we film our show Texas Dirt down here, and I film from my tree stand a lot, and the close quarters and everything, and my iPhone does a whole lot more work than my regular camera. And being able to have a battery for longer sits, longer hunts, or a full day working out on our hunting land and stuff, it's awesome to have. And Todd, you talked about Tyler and him also using Dark Energy, right? He came up with the little hack that I thought was pretty handy on having the Poseidon Nano mounted to your tripod. And then if you're filming with your phone and you have one of these MagSafe cases, you just clip and then unclip from that Poseidon Nano, when you're filming or when you need to, check a message or whatever it might be. And I thought that was a pretty neat trick.
Yeah, exactly. And you just mentioned that we're using our phones all the time. And like I said, when I'm at a football game, for example, to plug my phone into a car, it's not going to charge. My phone doesn't charge if a car shut off, or if it does, it's very, very slow. So it's very convenient to have something like the Poseidon, just to plug my phone in to keep it charged while I'm out officiating. I come back and it's fully charged, by the time I'm done officiating. So, I leave for school at 6 in the morning. And like I said, I'm rolling in last night, 11:30 at night. So that's a long time to try to keep a charge on my phone. And so to be able to have that resource, to be able to have, equipment like Poseidon to be able to plug in, it's so awesome. And again, like we just mentioned, to have it in the field, we can keep our phones charged and we can capture all day. We always talk about keep your cameras rolling, but if you don't have something like that, if you don't have equipment like that to help keep your charged phone, you can only run your equipment for so long. So.
Well, and especially as they get older, I mean, the batteries just don't last, as long as they, did when they were new. I love going back to what you said about it being waterproof. As a track coach, I am out in the rain so often during the spring, and to be able to have that and have it in my backpack and not worry about it and know that it's not going to be damaged. It's there when I need it, if I need it. Because when I'm coaching, if there is a lightning delay or something that comes in, or a storm that comes in, I have to be able to get text messages out to my athletes like, now this is our storm shelter, this is where we're headed, this is when the lightning delay is over, this is our running clock for when we can restart. And to be able to just have that with me, again, not worrying about it shorting out, is awesome. It's so convenient, especially when this is, it's a big meet and it's, 9:30 at night and I've got bad weather and, 50 kids under my watch. So it's, we've talked about it. It's awesome for things other than just out, hunting or, backpacking. It's just daily living.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, a lot of other staffers have contacted us and say, hey, Anthony was texting us for a while, saying, how do I forget what he was looking for. It was beside the solar panel or.
I think he has the Nano.
The Nano.
I think he has the Nano.
So he did post some pictures. We posted that last month where he was out on a boat and he had the Nano with beautiful background. It was very pristine and, it was really, really cool picture he took. So, but yeah, we've had other staffers hitting us up trying to, it's very popular.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love having mine. You guys have been hitting on the everyday. I seriously use my dark energy stuff. And granted, I work for dark energy, so I probably should be using it every day so I can talk about it. But I use a Nano every day because my phone's dying. As part of my job, we're on social media, we're on our devices, and I need to have it. Another big one is travel. You mentioned going to the houseboat, but just going through an airport. I flew out to Kentucky for a turkey hunt earlier this spring with some guys, and I was sitting in this tiny little airport, and there was one outlet, it seemed, in the entire airport, and people kept coming up and trying to use it, but it was shorted out, so it wasn't even working. And I probably sat there for 30 minutes and had 5 people come up and try and plug in, and none of them could get power. And I was like, well, I got a couple of these and I am good to go. I am not in that boat. So just having them for the everyday or for those travel days is super valuable, super helpful.
Exactly.
We had ours actually plugged in. So when we flew to Minnesota, I actually had it plugged in. Piper, our youngest, had never flown before, so she was
super excited.
She was super excited, but she was very, very nervous and anxious. And so I had the phone plugged into the Poseidon as we were flying and charging, and she was, obviously it was on airplane mode, and she was playing some of her games, but she was completely distracted during takeoff because that was her complete what are we gonna do? What is this gonna be like? Then she realized she was fine, and that's good. But it was, so easy. Didn't take up any room, and she had it in her lap with the phone, and able to distract her.
It's great. always good to have a charge, and always good to be able to stay safe with the charge.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
So, Brayden, you talked a little bit earlier about the kind of the origin story and why dark energy began in the first place. Kind of following along that note, what sets dark energy apart from any competitors out there? And you probably already hit on it a little bit, but there's you can folks could, if they don't have any ties to any company or no recommendations, right? You can shop for days and find cheap stuff, expensive stuff, various manufacturers, various companies, right? What sets you all apart?
Yeah, these are new, so I'm not going to be able to dive super far into it, but we have a set of performance metrics that all of our products must meet in order for us to even put them out. They can vary slightly by product, but overall they need to be somewhat waterproof, like IPX7, which is almost the top of the line waterproof, dustproof. They need to be rush resistant. They need to be able to withstand like severe vibrations. They need to be able to withstand some type of drop. So we're working on a couple products. They're a lot bigger and a lot heavier than what we currently have. And one of them is going to be 50 to 60 pounds, and you're going to be able to drop it off the tailgate of your truck without it breaking, which is pretty incredible for a battery that's that size. So again, like I'm kind of all over the place to summarize it. We just have the toughest portable power on earth. We have products that are built to withstand the cold. One of my favorite parts of my job is the product testing that we get to do. So like, I'll tell you some of the stuff I've done.
Yeah.
I shot a Poseidon Pro with the shotgun. I think we were 20 yards away with like just bird shot. And we were shooting it for a video that we still haven't posted because we haven't had time to edit it. But we shot it from 20 yards away and it knocked it over. And we walked up to it and it had a couple little BB spots on the outside. And our photographer who was helping video was like, that's not enough. We need to shoot it again. So we ended up shooting it like 2 times after that, just so you could actually see the BBs and stuff on the outside of the case, which most batteries are not going to do that. And we don't actually recommend doing that. It was just something we did for testing. We ran it over with like a 3-ton dump truck. We just kind of kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger vehicles to try and run it over to see what would actually break it. And then we ran out of vehicles that we had access to. So that was our biggest issue. Maybe we need to keep trying and find some people with other vehicles. We froze it in a block of ice. So I think it was frozen for like 10 days, broke it out of the block of ice. It still has a charge. Our batteries in general hold a charge for a really long time. So we have one in our office that still has a charge after 8 years. We haven't been using it. It's just been sitting there and it still has somewhat of a charge. So it's great for like a go bag or leaving in the truck. What else? We've had tons of fun. I tied it to some fishing line and dropped it to the bottom of a lake and left it there for 5 minutes just to see what would happen. Reeled it back up, charged fine. Like overall, if you're looking for a cheap battery, we're not your answer. If you're looking for a battery that is going to be there and be reliable when you need it, dark energy would be a great choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was gonna say it's very durable. You know, you mentioned you put them through all those tests, and that's pretty rigorous. It's pretty intense, and it still performs, right? So
yep.
Well, and you hit on a good point. I've had those other batteries. I've got those cheap ones, and after a month or 2, they don't work anymore.
Yep.
And have we had them a year, Sam?
It's been somewhere in there. I guess it was Dallas Safari Club, I think, is where you and I met for the
Yep.
first time, Braden, and started everything. So yeah, I guess it has been a year because last hunting season I think was the first year that we started having some folks with
Yeah.
product in the hand. And Todd, you talked about the turkey hunt this last spring having it and everything. So it's been close to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say I've probably really, yeah, since last fall. Yeah, yeah, it's got to be about a year.
Mhm.
And my, it's doing great. I have no issues with it.
That's awesome. Here's something else really cool that like we try to make known to people, but people don't necessarily see. So all of our products have a 2-year warranty that we cover. So like most batteries and most electronic products don't have that kind of warranty, or they may have like a year warranty. So we have a 2-year baseline, everybody gets a warranty. On top of that, we offer an additional extended warranty where you can add 2 or even 3 more years on top of that, that we will cover your products. And like if they have a defect or if they break, then we will replace them up to 5 years, which is absolutely incredible. I personally expect them to last way longer than that. We go to like hunt expos and people are like, I got your first one like 8 years ago and I don't need a new one yet. So if it ever dies, I'll come and get another one, but I don't need it yet. We're just like, great. I'm so glad to hear that your battery is still working the way that it's supposed to.
Right.
That's awesome. I like hearing what you talk about with the product testing and everything, because not just from the durability and just the indestructibility it seems of the product, but like I'm a fireman full time, and I just taught a class to my department on lithium ion battery fires and everything that goes with that from the prevention and the fire department standpoint. But educating myself on the topic, it kind of put things into perspective a little bit on, man, this, how dangerous some of the stuff could be. Or you see the videos on YouTube of people just dropping a battery and it starts smoking and all this kind of stuff. And hearing that this stuff is like, you got to really really work, it sounds like, to destroy it, just from a safety standpoint as well. I think that says a lot. And you said it yourself, if you want a cheap battery, Dark Energy isn't the answer. Dark Energy has products that are tough, they're built to last, and it's going to serve you well in the long run. And yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's great. I think it's important to know how dangerous it can be. And we have, not only do we have all of this rigidity and strength built into it, we also have safety on the inside. Yeah. So if something were to happen, it is covered as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can remember, just talking about comparing them to other brands and stuff. Like before we had Dark Energy last year, we would go out and on our property where we hunt, and we would have a camper out there that we would stay in, but we don't have any power to the camper, so we would just have a little generator. It wasn't even really enough to run all the features of the camper. It was just enough basically to give us light and everything after dark and whatnot. And so you would charge what you can while the generator's running, but then when it's time to go to bed and you shut the generator off, your phone still hasn't reached the max capacity. And we'd be out there for 2 to 3 days, and I would have just all of these portable chargers that I'd accumulated over years lined up, right? And I just go from one to the next to the next. One of them couldn't even charge my phone all the way. And that's over a 2 to 3 day trip. By the time I get to day 3, I'm like, man, I gotta conserve my battery a little bit out here. But now it's like not even an issue, right? So, and yeah, I love every minute of it.
That's awesome. We actually, and maybe you were going to ask a question about this later, but something I definitely want to share is actually why the company's named Dark Energy. Yes. So first of all, people hear Dark Energy and they're either like, ooh, that's ominous, or that's scary, or like, that's sick. Like, let's go. But that's actually... First of all, part of the reason is for that reaction. The other part is actually an astrophysics thing. And I'm personally not that big into it, but my boss is. And so he into science, and so he was, when he was thinking of what to name the company, his mind came to the term dark energy. In science, or according to science, dark energy makes up about 70% of the universe, and that 70% is causing the expansion of the universe as we know it. So the universe is expanding, dark energy is causing the expansion of that universe. And so our goal as a company, as Dark Energy, is to help you expand your universe, to help you go a little bit further than you were able to go before, to help you push beyond where your current limits may be, because you have products that allow you to go there, which I personally think is an awesome message. We're working on getting better at sharing it. But just the idea of, hey, if power was a limiting resource, if being able to communicate, I mean, we have so many devices now that make that communication possible. But if that is the reason that I'm staying somewhere, we don't want that to be the reason. We want to help you push beyond your current limits and beyond where you're currently at.
Yeah, for sure. Heather's dad actually teaches astronomy in college, and
I'm still trying to figure out how to hook it up to his telescope. Haven't figured it out. I'm getting close.
But we mentioned dark energy, and that's a whole nother podcast.
But his telescope was from when Halley's Comet came through back in 1985. So, and it was brand new then. So this is taking me. This is a little bit of a process to get it hooked up, but I think I'm almost there.
That's awesome. I have a funny story about the name too. I love the context and everything behind it. That's really cool. My wife was, earlier this year, she was going on an Alaskan cruise with some girlfriends. They were doing this big trip, and before she left, she came up to me and she was like, hey, you think I could borrow some of that dark magic stuff or whatever you got for me to use on my on my trip? And I couldn't help but laugh at everything, because when I first told her what it was called and everything too, dark energy, she was like, what's that mean? A little weary of it at first, but it's good stuff. She used it as well on that trip. She took a Poseidon and a Poseidon Nano with her, and it kept her juiced up as well.
It's awesome. So we've gotten that reaction. We also get people asking us like what kind of supplements we make. And we're like, wrong kind of energy, but you're close.
Yeah. Different kind of power that we're talking about here. So what's your favorite product in the product line?
Oh man, my favorite I feel like I'm not gonna have a great answer for that, and the reason is I feel like they all have a different purpose.
Yeah.
If I am talking, and so I'll give you my reasons why I like each of them the best. Poseidon Nano is probably my most used, and I just love how convenient it is. Like, that is my overall number one. Super convenient. Poseidon Pro, I love because I can get multiple charges, but it's still extremely light. I can take it with me. I don't have to worry about it. It's the size of a phone. I can beat the tar out of it, and it's still going to run. I absolutely love it because of that. Those are probably my top two. The solar panels are so new that I haven't had as much time to fall in love with them. Mm-hmm. The concept itself is extremely cool, and the design, once you get to feel how light they are, is just like mind-blowing. It is definitely not an everyday use. Most people aren't going to go set their solar panel outside in their yard just to charge their Poseidon Pro or Poseidon Nano, but like, I love having that product. If you were going to make me pick one, if you were going to hold my feet to the fire, I'd probably go with Poseidon Nano just because I use it almost every day and I love how small it is. But like, I don't think you can go wrong with any of them.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about the new solar panel being able to fold, because that was having to roll it up, and I almost threw that tube away. And I am so glad I didn't, because I mean, that's how I travel with it now. I was like,
Yep.
so, I mean, we would have figured it out if I had, but you have to have that. So now to have one that folds up, it's flat, it's gonna store really well, because I mean, that tube in my luggage, it just takes up extra space. And so I'm really excited about that.
Mhm.
Christmas present.
That's awesome. The solar panels, I forgot to mention this earlier, and I don't know how I missed it. If you think of like a traditional solar panel, it's like a thin sheet of glass on the inside. So if you bend it at all, you're going to crack and break it, which sucks because then your panel doesn't work.
Yeah.
Our panels are not made of the same material, so you can bend them, one made it so you could roll it, but now it means you can have your panel in your bag and you can lean up against it, and you don't have to worry about breaking your solar panel. You don't have to worry about it not working on you. The panels are also unique in that all of the cells are independently operating. So, like, you can't see them because it's dark, but if one of the cells stops working, everything else in the panel is going to continue to work. Where on a traditional solar panel, you're not going to have that same effect. If you break it at all, your entire panel essentially stops working. You might get 5% of the output that you're supposed to get out of your panel with traditional solar if you break it at all. If it gets hit or if it bends, it's not going to work.
So what is the size difference between the original solar panel and that trifold one?
Yeah,
Is that trifold one bigger because it looks like it is, or is it just longer?
I think it's slightly longer, and the reason for that was we had to build in the sections where so it's slightly longer. It does fold a lot more compact though. Price wise, it's also the exact same as what the rolling one is. So, like,
are strength wise they're equivalent though? Is one gonna charge faster than the other?
Technically, if you use the USB-C port on this one, it would charge like minutely faster, but not enough that most people would notice. Just because your charging time is going to be over hours.
So.
Still.
Explain that to me though. So the type that you put in will change. I did not. I'm learning something right now. Teach me.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we really want to dive into it, and I'm not the engineer behind all this, but every port you use is going to have a certain maximum output of essentially voltage that it can send out. And I hope voltage is the right term for it. So like our USB-C port on our Poseidon Pro has a higher output than our USB-A port. And same with our USB-C port on our 18 watt panel. I'm pulling something up just so I can give you the official numbers. So like our Poseidon Pro, the maximum output on the USB-A, so the big USB port that most things used to be, has a 12 watt maximum output. So like the maximum you're ever going to get out of that port is 12 watts. The USB-C port has an 18 watt maximum output and input. So that's why if you plug into the USB-C port, you're going to get fast charging and your device is going to charge faster.
That makes a ton of sense. So when we were in Minnesota, I had brought the Dark Energy one so my daughter has an iPhone, I have an Android, we have Androids, and I had brought the I think it's the orange corded one that she used with her iPhone, and I couldn't get over how much faster hers was charging, but I had forgotten mine, so I was just using my regular charger. And my phone for some reason draws way more energy than either his or hers, and so we were able to get with the Poseidon theirs would completely charge even from nearly empty, and mine did pretty good, but you could definitely see that there was a difference. But I was definitely using the USB port into that, so that's really good to know, and makes a lot more sense of why hers was charging way faster than ours.
Way faster. Yeah, the port matters. Also, the way you charge also matters, which is super interesting. So, like your Poseidon Nano here, the port on the Poseidon Nano, it does not include fast charging. So you'll notice more of a slow trickle charge if you're charging from the port on the Poseidon Nano, which actually enables you to get more of a charge. So if you run a I'm kind of all over the place, but if you run a cable from the Poseidon Nano, you're going to get more of a device charge than if you're using the wireless feature of it. Part of that is wireless charging. You'll notice that it can get warm, and part of that is your essentially your power is being lost through the transfer of wireless energy, and that is evident in the heat that comes off of the battery or off of your phone or whatever. It just is something that happens with wireless charging because it's not as efficient as running a cable to your device.
Interesting. That is good to know for sure. What and after all of the technical talk, this sounds like a really amateur question, but I have to ask because I've been curious. Y'all came out with the neon green Poseidon Nano. What was the reason for the color?
There were kind of two reasons. And this is for everybody listening, this is also like a hint into the future. One was our best selling color is our high-vis orange Poseidon Pro. It's like 2-to-1 compared to the black and camo, just because people want to be able to see it and not lose it. So we were looking at it and we're like, well, we love the orange. We could make an orange Poseidon Nano. Sure, it would sell great, but we wanted to test a new color and see what people thought of the green. And we got a small shipment of green in, but so they're available now. But for a while, we were sold out because they sold super well. So it's another high-vis color option that we were looking at. You may or may not see a green Poseidon Pro coming out here in the next in the next period of time. So
may or may not.
Well, the product. Yeah, it was a test, and also just like the high vis, people have been absolutely loving it because then when you're looking in a bag trying to find something, it's so much easier to see.
Well, I had it. I went out and I had a test for my my hunting dog, and I had dropped mine. And thank God it's the bright orange because I had no trouble finding it. But it's worked really well for with her e-collars. And if there's a time where I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to charge the e-collar. And she's a 10-month-old Vizsla. She is all over the place in a tornado. And if I don't have an e-collar on her, I'll get her back. It's just a matter of when I'm going to get her back because she's going to take off. So to have that as a secondary source to make sure that, her collar is, her training collars are set and ready to go is a nice comfort.
It's perfect. We've had people charge all sorts of devices. Mostly they need to be small electronic devices. We get questions about CPAP. We don't cover CPAP at this time. We get questions about whether we can jumpstart a car with our batteries. No, not yet. All of our stuff at this point is a small scale, built for small electronic devices. It's funny that you mentioned that with the orange, that you dropped it and luckily found it. We had a guy with Fieldcraft Survival. His name's Kevin Estila. He went on a camping trip, and he goes camping in the same spot every year. But I don't remember if it was the black one or the camo one with him, and he dropped it and left it in his camping spot for an entire year and ended up finding it the next year when he went back to the spot, and it still had a charge and everything, which is
Wow.
absolutely incredible.
That's
But like,
amazing.
hopefully having the orange or the green will help people remember to not forget their batteries.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm glad to know that one's back in because I actually wanted to purchase the green one.
Yeah.
And because I have the black one, but when it slips under, since I have a Jeep Wrangler and my carpeting is black. So when that slips under, it is half the time it's like it takes me, a good amount of time to find that Nano if it has slipped under my seat. And so I wanted, a bright colored one. So good to know it's back in stock.
Sam, Heather could have answered your question.
Yeah.
She wants to be able to see it when it slips under her seat.
Yes.
That's awesome for sure. So go ahead.
I was just going to mention one more really cool thing.
Yeah,
With the
have at
Poseidon
it.
Nano. You can actually, I know you mentioned someone using it as like a mount for their tripod. You can also use it as a wireless charging pad. So you can plug in the Poseidon Nano and be charging it from the wall. And as long as you turn it on before, you can charge your phone at the same time. So if you're a super busy person and you're in a rush, you can be charging both the Nano and your phone at the same time. And then if you have to go, you can just unplug from the wall and take your Nano with you, which is super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So you alluded to it as far as a color that may or may not be coming in the future, but what else? I want to ask, what else is Dark Energy looking at? What's coming next, and how can folks like us that are actively using the products in the field give you guys the feedback you need to better develop future products?
Yeah, great questions. I'm going to start with the feedback one because this is one of my favorite things. I actually personally respond to or view all of our Facebook comments. I do all of our posts. I read everything on our ads. If you have my email, you can email it to me. All of those are ways in which I can receive your feedback and then discuss it with the team. So for people who are listening who may not have an email, if you reach out to us on Instagram, I will be viewing your message. I will be reading your message. That's me. That's what I do for my job, and I can take that feedback and relay it to the team. As far as what's coming, we have a lot in the pipeline. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, so hopefully what I'm saying is okay. One big one is you're going to start to see Dark Energy in a lot more stores. So as you're looking around, as you're going to your small mom and pop bow shops, as you're going to some other retailers, keep an eye out. You may see Dark Energy there, which is absolutely awesome. It won't be our full product selection, so if you're missing something, jump on our website and get it there. As for products, I want to say it's the same, but it's not the same. Every time we talk to people want more power that they can take with them. They're like, your Poseidon Pro, your Poseidon Nano are awesome. They work great, but I need more. I need to be able to charge my computer. I need to be able to charge a CPAP. I want to be able to take it with me and plug in a small TV and watch movies while I'm camping. And so that's what we're working on. We're working on bigger power solutions to meet the needs of people who need more power. And so it all kind of falls under the same thing. And what we really specialize in is the toughest portable power on earth. So anything that you can think of that would fall under that umbrella is what we're working on. We have lots of cool products planned and coming out, hopefully some before the end of this year, if not a lot on deck for next year.
That's awesome. Well,
Another one that we used that I totally forgot to mention was we started our fires with the
The lighter.
The lighter.
The plasma lighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
We haven't
We
even.
have lots of cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, man. We keep walking over each other. I'll let you talk about it. I'll just add like that. That's one we didn't even mention was the plasma lighter and the flashlight and everything, and the fact they can charge off of the same stuff that everything else can. I love that little thing. I have it. I use it regularly.
Yeah, I have one in every single one of my bags. We also have other cool little accessories. We have carabiner knives and paracord cables, and like they're all great. So if you're just looking for something small to test dark energy out with, those are great options. My personal favorite is the lighter you guys mentioned. It's waterproof. Some guy asked if he could use the flashlight while like sea diving, I think it was. So he's like, "Will the flashlight work underwater?" And I'm like, "I don't know. We've never tested that. It does work. I went and tested it. It works underwater. I don't think you'll be able to light a fire underwater. I haven't tried that. Like, logic there just doesn't make
That might be a
sense to
little
me.
tricky.
But like overall, the lighter's great. The flashlight's great. I keep one in every bag just because you never know when you're gonna need fire or an extra light.
And I was gonna say, if you can light a fire underwater, you gotta send us that video. If somebody out there can light a fire, that you.
Yeah, I don't think you can. In fact, I'm pretty sure you would break something in the lighter if you tried to do it. So, wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, no.
There's some other scientific powers at work if you're able to achieve that.
Exactly.
Well, man,
Exactly.
I really I enjoy hearing about all the products and everything. I want to give Todd and Heather the opportunity if there's anything that we haven't covered yet, or that you guys want to talk about with Dark Energy before we ask Brayden our closing questions and stuff. But you guys got anything else for him?
No, just other. I mean, we mentioned it throughout this podcast that it came along at a great time for us as we were looking for those power sources when we're out in the field, and dark energy is the one that's been the most reliable that we found, and it's very durable, and like I said, we never have to worry if we have our dark energy with us, and so we're very, very pleased with the products that you guys have, and.
Well, when we got it, I originally was thinking like, hey, we know we want to start doing some big backpacking. I want to do an Isle Royale. He wants to go elk hunting. And so I was like, oh, we got to start testing this stuff out. But you said it earlier, I wasn't prepared for how much I would use it on a daily basis and how much it has made my life easier and made things more efficient. So I'm very excited to see what you come up with next, and as the Dark Energy line continues to develop, and as technology changes, and you guys stay up with that. So I'm probably most excited to see what's coming next.
Me too. It's gonna be great.
Same here, man. I'm excited for it, and I mentioned before we start recording, I haven't even really talked about it in the podcast, but I have an elk hunt coming up in Idaho. Up in the steep and deep country this upcoming year, and I already know that it's gonna be playing a significant role up there for me because we're doing a whole film production around the whole deal, and it'll be an opportunity for us to showcase the products, but showcase them in use because we're gonna need to keep phones and cameras and everything charged while we're up there for I think we're slated for like 6 to 9 days depending on how quick we kill. So we'll be taking full advantage of it for sure.
Good luck on your hunt.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. You got anything else for us? I got a couple questions that I'll ask you, not necessarily related to Dark Energy before we close, but is there anything else about the products or anything that our listeners need to know?
I don't think so. I think we covered Dark Energy pretty well. If I did miss something or somebody wants to know something more technical, I know we kind of dove in slightly, and I'm not the biggest wealth of knowledge on that front, but just message us. I'm happy to answer them. We have lots of cool stuff planned. We love one thing I also think that makes us unique is the industry that we get to be a part of and we love. I think a lot of companies kind of frown upon or shy away from the hunting industry, and we're fans of it. We go hunting. I don't know if you can see in the background, but I actually have my buck and one of my elk that I've killed behind
awesome.
me, because it's something I think of every day. I actually went up and looked for some elk this morning, so it's just part of what we do and what we love, and part of why our products were developed and who they're developed for.
That is a great point, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is something that I've seen through y'all's social media and stuff, and exactly like you said, like there's some other companies that they're strictly backcountry, or they're strictly camping, or that's kind of where they cater to, or not necessarily cater to, at least that's what they advertise, in their promotions and on social media, because they're weary of the hunting industry. But you guys do it all. There's plenty of backcountry and camping stuff on y'all's pages, but equally as much there's hunting in the outdoors and the application for such. And yeah, that's awesome that y'all are fully recognizing that as one of your big markets and stuff. So very good. Well, man, I want to ask you a couple of questions before we conclude. We ask all of our first-time guests on our podcast these questions. We used to call them like our rapid fire questions. There's nothing rapid about them, and they're pretty easy, not too challenging. But
okay,
the first one,
you had me sweating.
No, the first one, and since you are a hunter, tell us about your favorite or one of your favorite hunting memories.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I have two.
Yeah.
So one of them was actually the first elk I killed. It's the one behind me. I'm actually going to talk about the two animals behind me.
Perfect.
I was, I think it was my 16th birthday. I happened to be blessed with a birthday in October. So it was my birthday. The only thing I wanted that year was I wanted to skip school. I wanted a hunting tag to go hunt elk. And so I talked my dad into it. He took the day off work. We go up to where we usually go hunt elk, and we get up there, and it was dead quiet. Every now and then, I know it's the end of the elk rut up where we're at around that time, and every now and then you'll catch them still bugling a little bit of action, and this was not the case. There was absolutely nothing going on. It was the quietest day ever, and my dad leans over to me and he's just like, hey, like, don't be too disappointed if we don't see anything. He was just setting the expectations, and I'm like, it's all good. Like, I'm just glad to be here and not in school. So no worries about it. And we kind of go up to essentially this corner of the property where we usually see elk in, and my dad's like, hey, I'm just going to drop back a little bit and see if by some miracle, if something comes in. And he drops back. He can't really see anything. And I'm just sitting kind of up in this area where I had a better view of my surroundings. And he starts calling. We wait a little while, and this like raghorn 3-point elk comes, and it comes up to the fence. So I'm essentially watching a fence line, and it's running up and down the fence line on the other side of the fence. So I'm like, I'm not going to shoot over the fence. That's just not something I'm going to do. And I watched this elk run up and down the fence for probably 10 minutes. And it just wouldn't jump the fence. And I'm just like, in my mind, thinking, please jump the fence. Like, as soon as you jump the fence, I'm going to get my first elk. It's going to be awesome. And it was a long back and forth of watching this elk. And I was just patient. I didn't shoot. And like a minute or two after watching this, I hear a crash to my left. And out of the trees runs this 6-point bull on the property that I can actually hunt, which was great. And so I I shot it and it dropped down, and my dad comes running up and he's like, dude, you're letting it get away. And he's like motioning toward this little raghorn elk because that was the only one he could see. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, my bull's over here. And so like it was just the full experience that it was my first year elk hunting. It was on my birthday. It was like just perfect. The memory with my dad, him being like, you're letting it get away. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, you raised me better than that. I'm not going to shoot over the fence. So it was an awesome story. The other one was the deer behind me. And it was like my wife's second year hunting. And we'd gone up the day, but well, to preface it, the year before was her first year hunting, and we went up and we seriously saw one deer the entire hunt. We were up there every night and we saw one little 2-point that we were like, we're gonna go get this thing. And so we started chasing it and it just disappeared. Like, I have no idea where it went. It was the craziest thing like no deer. It was terrible. So we go up this next year not expecting to see too much, and there were deer everywhere.
Huh.
There were deer running everywhere. It was her first year, and what we kind of do is we do like a push through the trees to kind of get the deer up and moving, just because there's not a good way to glass this area. We kind of have 2 people sit up on a ridge and then a couple people push through just because there's no way to glass it. And my brother and dad were the ones pushing through, and I get a text from my brother saying like, hey, there's a decent buck. If my wife can't find it in the scope, he's like, you got to shoot it. Like, it's a decent buck. It's a 4-point. Like, you'll be happy with it if you can get it. And I'm like, okay. So they come across this deer, jumps up, starts moving, not super quick, and so we shot at it, and I don't know how we didn't hit it. It was like 100 yards away from us at that point, and I actually thought we'd hit it and kind of got shot at because it slowed down a little bit and went into the trees and never came out. So it was like this little patch strip of trees goes into the trees, and my never comes out. And we're like, okay, one of you guys go in there and we'll sit up here and watch, see if it comes out. And so they end up seeing it right before it comes out of the trees, and they'll shoot me a message like, hey, it's coming out. And next thing we know, it was that buck and a 2-point running in front of it that were 300 yards away at a dead sprint. And I thought we kind of wounded the one, so we were shooting at it, and I kind of just held on a spot where I saw the 2-point go through. The big buck came through, and I just like lightly squeezed the trigger, and the deer disappeared. So we end up walking down to it, and I'm actually going to walk back here just to show you. And I'll flip on this light too. It's really bad backlighting, but we walked up, and on this side was sticking up, and we could see the 2 kickers coming off the side. And so we're like, holy cow. And then we flipped it over, and the other side has a kicker coming off. I can't get my camera going very well.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But like a kicker coming off that side, and it's like the best buck I will probably ever kill. And it was just an awesome experience that I got to have with my brother and wife, and probably the luckiest shot I'll ever take. And I would not recommend making that shot or even attempting that shot on a regular basis, but just like a super great opportunity, and it's all about the memories. And those are probably 2 of my favorites that I'll cherish forever.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, there's a reason they're on the wall behind you, and that's a big part of that. And man, that buck is a stud. That's really cool and got some cool character. It's always cool when you're already happy because you killed an awesome deer, and then you walk up on it and you're like, oh my goodness, he's got so much more. That's a good feeling. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I honestly thought he was like your average 4-point, and then we walked up and we're all like, oh my goodness, he's not your average 4-point.
It's always nice so when they get bigger as you get closer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Man, the last question I have for you is about your bucket list. What hunts do you want to go on, or what's at the top of your bucket list that you haven't gotten to do yet?
There's a lot that I haven't got to do yet. I think if I had to pick, like, my number one absolute dream is red stag in New Zealand. I don't know why. I've always been fascinated with them. Maybe it's because they're so similar to elk, and elk are like some of my favorite animals ever to pursue. But I absolutely love red stag. Uh, there's so much I haven't done and so much I want to do. Like, these are simple little ones, but I'd love to go to Texas sometime and go after some hogs. Like, I think that would be a blast.
We know a guy.
You know a guy?
I've been known to hook somebody up with some hog hunting every now and then. Right now, my pigs are they're driving me crazy. I don't know what's wrong with them, but it's not like it was when somebody else on this episode came down to hunt with me. I got Todd his first Texas pig. So if I get pig numbers going up again, then there'll be an invite coming, man. We'll make something happen.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Those are probably my top two right now. I mean, eventually there will be more, like moose and caribou and bears, but those are probably, like, if I were to go do something right now, it would be one of those two.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, the pigs down here, they're fun. We as Texas residents, like, we're used to them, and you know, it's always been part of hunting. Just, oh yep, there's pigs again, whatever it might be. But Todd actually helped me kind of open my eyes to when he came down a couple years ago, and I took him on a hog hunt in the Texas summer. It was over 100 degrees. It wasn't ideal conditions, but you know, Todd was super happy and super excited when he got his hog, and it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that, you know, while it's just a way of hunting that I'm used to forever down here, it's, you know, it's a rare thing for people from other parts of the country and stuff. So I enjoy hearing that when it's on somebody's bucket list. And again, if I can get my pigs to cooperate again, I'll try to check that off for some more people.
I think I mentioned that to you too, Sam, that was one of, like you said, Brayden, it seems like a simple hunt, but we don't get to do that in Michigan ever, you know?
Yeah.
And so growing up watching the Outdoor Channel and the Sportsman's Channel and all that, and seeing people pig hunt, it's like, man, I would really love to do that someday. And I think I mentioned that to you, Sam, too, that just the scenery and the whole setup just reminded me of those shows I used to watch on TV. And so
yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
We actually got Todd's hunt on film. I think it's episode 2 of season 2 of our Texas Dirt series on YouTube and Carbon TV. But he that was one thing, like you had mentioned to me, you know, not having pigs up in your neck of the woods and not ever really hunting them a whole lot and that kind of thing. But it was actually when we were filming and we walked up on your pig, that's when you talked on camera about the scenery and this being something you always wanted to do, and that's kind of when it hit me, like, oh man, this is really cool. So
yeah, I think it's funny that you're mentioning that, and, like, yes, it is one of my bucket list hunts to go there, but the animals that I am blessed to hunt every year are, like, on other people's bucket lists.
Right.
And so I think there's plenty of opportunity just to cherish and embrace what we have around us, which I think is super special.
That's awesome. I couldn't agree more, man, for sure. One man's trash is another man's treasure, you know?
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate all of you joining me for a podcast episode. Thank you all for coming on and talking about some dark energy. It was a good time.
Yeah, great product.
It was a blast. Thank you guys. Thanks for the invite. I had a great time as well. Hopefully we can get together one of these days and do something a little more than just talk dark energy products.
Yeah. I imagine at some point that we'll try to make a hunt happen in one way or another. So Absolutely, man. I look forward to it. For our listeners tuning in the podcast, thank you all for listening to another one. And I do want to mention that Dark Energy being a partner of Fall Obsession, we talked a lot about all the things that we like about it. These are reasons that we partner with companies like this, because we believe in the product, we find value in the product, and we hope you do as well. That's why we partner with other companies, is because we trust them and have field tested them and find that value. So Dark Energy does offer Fall Obsession followers a promo code if you want to save a few bucks on your next purchase, and that code is just the word Fall Obsession, all lowercase with a space in between Fall and Obsession. If you use that code at checkout on your next Dark Energy order, it will knock a few bucks off, and again, you can start experiencing the toughness and the toughest mobile power products on earth.
Toughest portable power on earth.
There we go. You put it a lot more delicately than I did. That's what I was going for. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. We're back again next week for another podcast, and I'll catch you then.